Hey guys, back for another shoe review. Today we have the Altra Olympus 3.5, yeah, the Altra Olympus 3.5, which is a trail shoe from Altra. So like all of the Altra shoes, it's a wide toe box, zero drop, in this case a trail version. You can think of it as basically a maximal trail shoe. It's basically a trail version of their Paradigm line. You should be able to refer back to one of my Paradigm review videos if you want to see what I thought about the road Paradigm shoes. I've gone for a trail version here because I've got a 50k coming up soon, and I'm looking for a shoe that I can just put in some long days and long training runs. Possibly less technical because the run I'm doing, the Terraventure 50, is not particularly technical. There's not too much river crossings and roots and rocks and so on. These are probably the shoes I'll be wearing on the day. I'm not 100% certain yet, but probably these ones. Let's get down to the review. First things first, the laces are decent. You've got 6 holes on these. You've got the option of doing a lace lock. And they've got actually really good length laces for doing that. It's just pretty much bang on this time. So that's nice to see because it's not always the case. And for me personally, my right ankle is a little bit narrower than my left, so I usually have to do a lace lock. So it's nice. With that in place, they do clamp down on my feet pretty well actually. I'm not feeling them move around a lot. The fit's pretty good, to be honest. Next positive, there is a lot of cushion on these, as you'll probably be able to see. There's 33 millimeters of cushion on the front and the back because it's a zero drop. And you do notice it when you're running. It does feel very cushioned. The downside is there is like no ground feel at all. You're just not feeling the ground with these. You can run over all kinds of stuff and you're just not going to feel it, which some people may like, some people may not. I usually like a bit of ground feel, so I usually go for something a little bit lower than this, but as I say, for a long day and putting in a lot of miles, these are probably going to be pretty good. One negative is because there's just a lot of shoe. If you get this wet and you're running through like mud and things like that, it's going to be quite heavy. There's just a lot of material here. They do have some drain holes on the end here, but to be honest, I wouldn't want to get this, go through river crossings and stuff with this. I'd much prefer like a Lone Peak or a Topo Terraventure, something a little bit more, a little bit less material to dry out basically. But it does have the option of a gaiter on it. It does have Ultra's standard gaiter points on it, which is good to know if you want to give it a shot. Next positive, I have tried these. It's summer here, so I've not really been able to find too much really deep mud to give these a try on. I've been using these for gravel, light fire roads and 4x4 tracks, so dry clay, riverbed, that kind of thing, sort of desert dry environments. These would probably be really good in like a dry clay environment, anywhere it's summer basically. But I have tried them on a few rocky surfaces here and there, and they're surprisingly grippy. They're a lot grippier than I thought they would be, because they do have, fairly substantial lugs on them, but there's not many of them. And this orange on the outside is Vibram sole, and the rest is just normal, Mega Grip Compound they call it, whatever. But I mean, they're holding up quite well to wear for the amount of miles I've put on them so far, which is not tons, I must say, but they are holding up pretty well, and they do have a surprising amount of grip, so that's good to know. However, because they're quite high stack height, if you're taking these on like a rocky terrain, like roots, wet roots and things like that, you might find they're a little bit top heavy. You might find that you're like walking on stilts kind of situation. So I personally wouldn't want to run on really technical routes with these. If I could avoid it. So you've got a lot of stability in the kind of the motion of the shoe, but not so much stability in the tipping plane. And because the cuff on these is quite shallow as well, I generally like if I'm going to go for a shoe as tall as this, I'd want a little bit more cuff just to give it a bit more stability. But it feels like they've basically taken a Lone Peak and just jacked it basically, which it's not terrible for light tracks and stuff. But if it gets technical, you might find that ankle rollovers and stuff starts to become a problem. I haven't had any problems with that where I've been running with it, but you might find. It's actually a faster shoe than I expected as well. It feels pretty fast when you're running on it. You're not getting as much bounce as you might imagine for having 33 mil of foam. You would think that, you know, it'd be like running on springs, but it is actually a little bit faster than I expected. It might just be that the shoes I've had previously have been a bit dead, or because they were worn out or so on. Maybe it's that new shoe sort of feeling thing, but at the moment these are a little bit quicker than I expected. You certainly wouldn't want it as a race shoe for a short race event, but for, you know, a long ultra, maybe that's something to take into consideration. Particularly, you know, there is a lot of padding there, and at the end of the day the shoe that you can get to the finish without blisters is probably the best shoe for you. These are relatively heavy. When I was reading online, I saw comments, people saying, oh, they felt like a really heavy shoe, but I think it might just be in people's heads, because these come in at like 272 grams, and Lone Peak is in that area as well, 285-ish, somewhere around there. So they're not particularly heavy on the scales, but they do look heavy. they feel heavy when you're wearing them, but I think it's like in your head. They also have this really massive like bumper on the back, which I personally don't like. It probably helps with the stability a bit of the height of the shoe, but it just looks kind of weird. I like the colours, but you know, I don't like the profile really. In terms of sizing, they size normal. I'm a size 10 in every rare pair of shoes I have. I'm a size 10 in these as well, and it fit perfectly. I bought these online. So I'll give you a close-up of this shoe. There you go. They come in a couple of different colour options, but yeah. So overall, I would say if you're looking for a long day out on easy, light fire roads and so on, dry environments, these are probably a really good choice. Training up for an ultra, running the ultra itself, these are going to be a great choice. Obviously there are zero drops, so you have to be comfortable with that. But if you're looking for something winter conditions, technical, mountain running, probably not the best option. So far I've really liked them. They're ultras, so they're not particularly expensive, but I'm in New Zealand, so everything's expensive, so I'm not going to judge them on that. It's not really fair. Hopefully that'll give you a bit of a kind of overview on the shoe and a bit of a heads up on someone's experience of using them. And thanks.